welcome to the Somerville Studios, and I'm going to show you around my space. So this is the entrance, and we are allowed to have some wall space. So these are a couple woodcuts that I've done. Right, they're pretty large. I'm pretty large in comparison. This is a painting that was at my recent show, and this is my space. So we're going to enter through here. I think being an artist, a practicing artist, is isolating in itself. You spend a lot of time by yourself. And the pandemic, there were moments where, like, if you're so sad, you can't do anything, right? Like, depression is a serious concern, especially in my life. But I work best on due dates, and because I had this show that it kept getting pushed back, I felt as if like I gave myself a goal to keep working until the show was here. So I kept making things. I made things at home. So it was a way of keeping busy. But as for inspiration, it can be really tough because what you're making, you have to continue to tell yourself that like it means it's important, like what I make is important or what I'm putting in the world is important, because if you compare it against the pandemic and what's going on, it's like this massive painting of hairy legs in sandals, it's not important to the general pandemic and all the horrible things that are happening. But on the other hand, maybe it is important because maybe this painting made someone laugh. Or maybe this painting brought someone joy, and that little bit has to like keep you going. I think the pandemic forced everybody to be with themselves more than they would. It cut off a lot of distractions, and that's negative and positive, right? So sometimes like sitting with yourself can be really painful, and sometimes sitting with yourself can be painful and solve a problem, or you start thinking in a different way. For me, I think it taught me that time is important and time is precious, and we take a lot of things for granted.
I'm a painter living in the Boston area in Somerville. My work day hasn't changed too much, like going to the studio, being there by myself, right? But then not because our days are spent so much in solitude, because we're not necessarily like team workers by nature. Like the social part, like going to openings or meeting at a bar or meeting friends for exchange, doing studio visits where we meet each other to see what the other one is doing, to give feedback or critique each other, get input, all this did not happen. And that falling away or falling flat, that definitely had an impact for a lot of us, and me included. For the last year, the way we learned and met the challenge of like reaching each other in different ways, but physically, that was quite something. And if you see how much online content was created, shared, how much events were promoted, what was happening via Zoom, via other kinds like Instagram Live. I mean, we're kind of blessed that we have all those channels to communicate and share what we do. And I think it just kind of boomed over the last 12 months. It's a fascinating, source of input. At the same time, it's also a dangerous source of input because it's easy to kind of think like that's what it is. And it's easy to get addicted to Instagram, to get up in the morning and says, let's see what happened or didn't happen, right? I wonder if we'll be able to remember that direct conversation with, let's say, an artwork is something very special and genuine, rather than looking at it in our devices. I mean, we're blessed to have those tools. And at the same time, we have to be careful to not, and they have their own reality, but there's still another reality, in the so-called initial reality, that I hope, going to reappreciate once we're through this. That we also become aware of the taste of the actual experience of, being not in a virtual, but a physical space, sitting on a bench in a museum across from a painting or in a gallery, or maybe sitting outdoors and enjoying architecture or sculpture or nature.
My name is Deborah Weisberg. We're in my studio at Brick Bottom Artist Building, which is a condominium in Somerville, Mass. Live-work spaces for 160, more or less, artists. I was teaching at Boston College in the studio and studio arts, and I also participate in the low residency program at Mass College of Art in their grad program. I'm really sad. I'm just really sad. I've been struggling. I feel unmoored. Teaching is a big part. It's a very rewarding part of my life, and I've mentored a lot of young people, and I wasn't ready to stop, but I didn't feel that I could teach the quality that and the authenticity. I really teach about embodiment, and it's kind of influenced by Sherry Turkle's work at MIT, which is like really being present in community with each other. I collect the cell phones, like no cell phone in my class, like off the body, It's not like just put it in your backpack, like I put it in a basket. So we're really building community, and I just couldn't figure out how I could do this. I mean, if there's anything that we have learned is the necessity, I think, for community and to be in conversation and hug, and yet at the same time, it's really cost efficient to be on Zoom, and I'm really concerned where education's going to go and the dismantling of humanities, and and universities are losing money, so I'm really concerned about it.
I don't feel like I'm alone, right? Because I went to graduate school and I have colleagues and friends that are also adjuncts and artists. We wouldn't change what we do, because if we didn't do it, if we weren't artists, if we weren't inspiring other people to be artists, then there'd be no art in the world. And how awful would that be?